Hello and welcome back to Mountain Patriot Homestead. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 food items that I use to stretch meals. Before we begin, I hope you'll forgive me that I am multitasking as this video is being made today. This is life on the homestead. There are so many things to get done in so little time. So today I had went out as soon as it got daylight, went out, gathered beans before the storms came in, and so now I am trying to get them done so I can move on to the next project. So I hope if this is distracting, I hope you'll forgive me. One thing that I did realize, I picked dry and green beans while I was out there because I had both out there. And I realized a while ago as I was putting some of the dried ones, I'm separating them. I'm doing both at the same time here. But I did realize that as I was putting the dry ones into the pan here, that it was rather loud, so I'll set those to the side so at least you're not having to endure that as we make this video. So let's move on, and we're going to be starting with number 10 and moving down to the number 1 food that I use to stretch meals here on the homestead. The first one that I use is rice. Now I know, rice has been used for centuries as a grain and as a supplement for food, not only for us, but for animals. It's used in animal food. But rice is used here. We use rice from everything from stir fry to soups. I love stuffed bell peppers that have beef and rice in the bell peppers. Now you could use just the rice in it and just make a sauce to go with it, and it would be wonderful. But rice is a food that can be used in so many various ways, and it can be used for any meal. Now I will tell you, my daddy was not a rice eater. He did not like rice except if it was cooked as a pudding. He would devour rice pudding, but he did not like it any other way. But here we eat quite a bit of rice. When I make rice, I will make a large batch of it, and then we will eat that for several meals. And that also helps with saving the fuel cost, whether it's you're cooking it by electric or on my gas stove. Either way, cooking a larger batch and then dividing it up into smaller batches does save money there. So that also stretches your fuel costs and your time. And time is a very important thing, isn't it? Number 2, and I'm sorry, I have to reach over here. I do have my notes because I'm also distracted as I'm doing these things. But number 2 that we also use here on the homestead is pasta. Now, whether you buy your pasta or whether you make your pasta, I do both, and I have a pasta maker. I have to admit that I'm not, first of all, I don't take the time to hand make all my pasta, so I have a pasta maker, and all I've got to do is throw a few ingredients in there and it will just make the pasta. And so I do have a pasta maker, and pasta, again, it's one of those foods, it's for more than just spaghetti. You can use, if all you have is pasta, if all you've got is a few noodles and some butter and salt and pepper, that can make a meal. One of my favorite, I say my favorite, well, I like it too, but one of the favorite meals that my kids enjoyed when they were little is they loved macaroni and cheese. Now, I'm not saying that macaroni and cheese is a well-rounded meal, but occasionally, if that's what they wanted, then, macaroni and cheese is not a bad meal. And think of, I don't know how many of you out there, if your mom or you made goulash. And goulash is a dish that I don't know how your mom made it, but my mom, a lot of times goulash was a dish, if we didn't have meat, it could be just the onions and tomatoes, and then have the noodles stirred into it, and that could be a very simple goulash. Or if you have ground meat, you can put ground meat in it, which is actually the way that I prefer it. But the pasta can be used in so many ways with vegetables, you know, just stretching it out. It can be used as a side dish, and it can also be used as an entree, and then just have things added to it. Is there any college student out there that has not survived some of their, at least part of their college stay by eating ramen noodles? Again, is that the healthiest option in the world? No. But you can also take those noodles, I've got beans flying. You can also take those noodles out of that, and if you don't want to use that little pack of seasoning in there, those noodles can be made. Look up recipes for ramen noodles. I'm not sure there's a limit on what you can make with ramen noodle. But again, it is something that you can stretch meals many ways by using pasta and noodles, whether dried or fresh. I like it both. All right. Number 8, beans. Beans and peas. I like dried beans, and that's why I really don't care that I do have some of these that are dried, because I do like dried beans. But dried beans can be used. Sorry, I've got things popping up here that I don't need popping up, because then I can't read what I'm doing. Well, can't get it off there, so excuse me for just a second. Sorry. Okay. All right. Beans are in number 8. They're an excellent source of protein, and whether they're dried or fresh, you can use them in soups and stews. You can eat them by themselves. You can eat them on cornbread. Some people put them in their chili. I've eaten it in chili. You know, I'm a purist when it comes to chili. I want my chili to just be chili. But if you're trying to stretch a pot of chili, and you've got enough to feed 4 people, and you've got 8 people to feed, you know, stretching it with some beans is a perfect way to do that. You know, if you like stuff a certain way, don't let people, if you like your chili with beans in it, you eat it with beans in it, honey. If you like it with crackers, you like it with cornbread, you eat stuff however you like it. And the same goes with your beans. Me, I love hot sauce with my beans. I love beans and cornbread. I could just eat a batch of beans and cornbread, and that'd be a whole meal for me. But beans can be used. My mama would keep a pot of beans going, and we would eat beans. If there was a way to eat beans, we'd eat beans. You know, a lot of people are eating them now in patties and calling it, you know, pretend hamburger or whatever. Well, we didn't eat it that way, but I will tell you, we eat a lot of bean patties. When it would get down to the end of the pot, and, you know, there wasn't quite enough, or maybe, you know, we just wanted them a different way, Mama would make bean patties or bean cakes, and all it takes is mash up your beans. You know, if you got some little bit of leftover pinto beans, or maybe you just opened up a can of them, and you just, all you got to do is mash them up and add, you know, a little bit of egg, if you want some egg in it, you know, kind of help it all stick together. Put some flour in there, or if you don't have flour, you can use cracker crumbs. Just stuff to make it stick together. Any seasoning you want in it, whatever you like. If you like, you know, your beans are probably already seasoned anyway, but if you'd like to have a little bit more, that's time. Add it in there and just fry it in a skillet. You don't have to deep fry it or anything, just a little bit of butter, a little bit of bacon grease, and, you know, make them into patties and fry them up in your pan, and boy, they sure are good. And that's another way to get your kids to eat beans. But beans are again another wonderful way to stretch meals. Number 7 is going to be bread. Now here behind me on the counter, I don't know if you can see it or not, but probably, because you can probably see all this mess that's on my counter back here. But I've got a loaf of bread that I made last night. Now I do have my bread maker out. I can make bread from homemade, but whenever I decided that I needed a loaf of bread last night, it was too late for me. I wasn't going to stay up to midnight waiting on bread to rise and all this kind of stuff. So I threw the ingredients in the bread maker, and when I got up this morning, we had a loaf of bread. So bread is an excellent way to stretch meals. It is, you can, what if you get down to those just few, sorry, I got a fly in and out the doors this morning, brought a fly in with me. What about using them for croutons? If you just got, a few pieces left, it's not enough to make anything, or, it's just, maybe it's getting a little on the stale side, and you don't want, my husband's picky about, he don't want bread that, if it's not real good and soft, he don't like it. So, croutons are very easy to make. Just kind of, you can cut them up and roll them around in just a little bit of olive oil, any seasoning you like. Again, throw that in the skillet, throw it in the, if you don't want it in the skillet, if you want to do it in the oven, however you want to do it, brown them up, toast them up, and you've got your own croutons, and it didn't cost you a fortune to make them neither. And it would have probably been for something you was fixing to throw out. So, don't waste food. Around here, again, waste nothing. I'll give you a real short example on waste nothing. See that hull? That hull won't go to waste. I'll throw that hull out there to those chickens. Those chickens will peck around on it, and they'll eat around on it. Then they'll make me some fertilizer. Then the fertilizer will go back into the garden. Any of this they don't eat can get raked up and thrown over in the compost pile. So nothing goes to waste. Waste nothing. That was a little tidbit, and that was free. All right, number 6. We're counting down. Number 6 is eggs. Eggs are, I know here, I don't remember. I lose track of time. Do y'all lose track of time? I don't remember if it was earlier this year, or if it was later part of last year, when there was the egg shortage and everybody couldn't find eggs, and if they found eggs, they was hiring the cats back and that sort of thing. So, but right now eggs have come down in price, at least around here. But I have my own girls, and they produce our own eggs, duck and chicken. And eggs are so wonderful because not only can they be used in so many recipes, they can be used in quiche or frittatas or omelets, or around here they get eaten every day. They get eaten for breakfast, and they get eaten sometimes for supper if we want breakfast for supper. But egg drop soup. Sometimes we'll just have a craving. We'll just want some broth, and break an egg in it and let that egg cook in it, and just egg drop soup. Just eggs by themselves are a pretty substantial protein source. I keep boiled eggs in the refrigerator, but we keep eggs around here, and eggs are such a wonderful source to expand a meal. Think of even your breakfast tacos. Breakfast tacos are a wonderful way to, if you don't have a whole lot of eggs, or you don't have a whole lot of anything, if you've got a tortilla, or if you can make you a tortilla. Tortillas are not hard. Maybe we'll make tortillas one day on here. But tortillas are not hard to make, but we're going to have beans all over the house. But eggs are something that you can use to expand your meals, and you can, I guess as Americans, we think that we have to have stuff certain ways, like we only have eggs on the side for breakfast. And you know what is wrong with, if you don't have another protein source, what would be wrong with cooking up eggs and, you know, putting it as a side in place of some other meat source alongside some of your other foods? I love, now I could eat cornbread with anything, but I love cornbread and eggs. And so you can expand, if you'll just expand your eating habits, that is a great way to stretch your food budget. Is quit thinking of things in terms of, we can only have it at this meal. We only, beans, we can only eat beans for supper. Well, you know, there are some places in the world, some of my Brit friends out there will give me acknowledgement of this, but in the UK, beans are a breakfast food too. So, you know, we just got to open our mind to alternatives and you think of other ways to use foods. Moving on down to number 5, frozen vegetables. Now, frozen vegetables, we were having this conversation at work yesterday, weren't we, ladies, about, we were talking about chicken pot pies, and, you know, they were talking about the frozen vegetables that they use in theirs, and I'm just like, well, you know, I just soon have the chicken and gravy in my, you know, in my pastry shell. I just soon not have the frozen peas and carrots, because I don't like cooked carrots. I like them raw. I don't care for them cooked. To me, they just have a weird flavor once they're cooked. So you could leave that out of mine and I'd be perfectly fine. But they laugh because, you know, that's kind of like a staple. But, you know, life doesn't begin and end with frozen peas and carrots. There are so many frozen vegetables out there that are, they're probably better quality than the stuff that you're getting, and produce managers probably are going, shut up. But honestly, they're probably better quality than the stuff in your produce department, because that stuff in your produce department, some of it, there's no telling how old it is or how green they had to pick it in order to keep it from ruining before it got to you. So those things in the frozen food section a lot of times are, they wait until it is exactly ripe, it's time, and they'll harvest it, take it into the processing plant and flash freeze it, and like I said, it's probably better quality than a lot of stuff you're getting out of the produce department. And you can do the same thing here on the homestead. You can freeze, now of course I don't have a flash freezer, but I freeze a lot of my food, and even if I plan on canning it, sometimes I will freeze it. I've told you this previously. My tomatoes, I'll pretty much freeze all of my tomatoes, because later I can come back and the skins just slide right off of them when I get ready to thaw them and process them. I'm sorry, I'm going down bunny trails, but when it comes to frozen vegetables, throw them off into anything. You can use them for not only soups. I know we just keep popping back to, you can use it in soups. Yes, you can use a lot of stuff in soups, but that's not the only place. Think about putting your frozen vegetables into, you can grind them up. Now, don't let your kids watch this part. You can grind those things up and put them into pancake mixes. You can put them into cakes. You can incorporate a lot of vegetables into other recipes and increase the nutritional value of those recipes as well. And if somebody doesn't like vegetables, it's a good way to get them to eat vegetables. But you can use vegetables, incorporate them into pasta sauces. any gravies, stir fries. We're back to stir fries, but stir fries are so simple and you can use up whatever in them. But vegetables are so versatile. You can use them in so many various ways that they are an excellent way to extend recipes, and they are used around here quite a bit, far more than my husband knows. Shh, don't tell him. All right, number 4, peanut butter. Anybody else out there love peanut butter? I love peanut butter. I can eat peanut butter just off a spoon. I love peanut butter. But did you know that peanut butter is more than just for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Peanut butter can be used in such a variety of ways, from smoothies. I know when my kids were young, I would make smoothies and put peanut butter in them because, you know, that just pumped up the protein in them, and I still like it that way. But you can use them, again, soups. You can make a peanut. Now here's a good tip for when you get down to the bottom of that peanut jar, the peanut butter jar. Don't think you've scraped out everything and just throw the rest of it away. First of all, here was another conversation I had at work the other day with a coworker. She was fussing because she couldn't get all the peanut butter out because of the way that the peanut butter jar is made. You know how it comes up and then the lip comes in and you can't quite get all that peanut butter out from in there. If you know anybody in the peanut butter making industry, you might share the word that it would be wonderful if they made a peanut butter jar. And I know I believe one of them does. But wouldn't it be wonderful if all the peanut butter makers made their jars where the sides just come straight up so you could get everything out of in there? Just a tip. Not costing you anything extra. But peanut butter is one of those things that if you don't throw that last little bit of peanut butter out of that jar, you can throw in some soy sauce, throw in some lime juice, maybe a little bit of garlic powder, and you can use that, mix it up, and you can use that on those noodles, that maybe that little bit of leftover noodles that you had she was trying to figure out what to do with, or that ramen noodle pack of noodles that you just need a little something to put on the side there for a meal. You know, you could make a peanut butter sauce and use that, mix that up with your noodles, and it is wonderful. They serve it at Asian restaurants, that peanut butter sauce, and it's very easy to make. So you might look up a recipe for peanut butter sauce, but don't throw that last of that peanut butter away in that jar, because it might surprise you how much is actually in there. Just put those ingredients directly into that jar and shake the hound out of it, and you'll have peanut butter sauce to use on, you know, another recipe. Now, number 3, we're moving right along, is cheese. I am a cheese fanatic. I love cheese. And about the only cheese that I just can't eat is Limburger. Pretty much anything else, I love it. I love cheese. Cheese, though, is so versatile. I can eat cheese. I can eat it 3 meals and for a snack. I love cheese. And cheese is a wonderful way to add flavor to dishes and to stretch dishes that you might just not have enough otherwise. You can put it on your chilies and soups and, you know, just various, you can put it on top as a topping, but also, you know, don't give those grilled cheese sandwiches second-rate, ratings either, because boy, I love me a grilled cheese sandwich. And you throw a bowl of tomato soup beside it, I'm good. That's just a meal for me. So, cheese and casseroles. I have a bunch of eggplant that is going to have to be processed. I picked a bunch this morning, and there I have a recipe that was from my mama that was an eggplant casserole recipe that uses just a little bit of hamburger meat, uses a pack of saltine crackers, a little bit egg, onion, and then when it's all cooked up and put in a casserole dish, topped with some cheese, and when that's done baking, oh my, that's probably my favorite casserole, and that's saying a lot because I love casseroles. Yeah, there's a lot of foods I love. But yes, cheese is another one of those things that can be grated over other foods, those frozen vegetables. You know, if you've got a kid that kind of balks at vegetables, if you take those frozen vegetables, broccoli's a perfect example, and you put some cheese on it, if you've got a cheese-loving kid, they'll probably eat it. You know, again, you're using what you've got. And when you get down to those ends of that cheese and you just got a little bit of cheese, honey, grate that up in those eggs. You know, scramble you up some eggs and throw that little bit of cheese in there with it. You know, you're getting your dairy in with your eggs, so don't waste it. But that is another way to use cheese. And we're down to number 2, oats. Oats is such a, you know, people, again, that's another one of those foods that people think, oh, it's only for, you know, you can only use that for breakfast. Well, that's not true. You know, oats, again, think it's a grain. Use it if you're needing a little bit of addition to your flour. Maybe you're getting a little low on your flour, but you got some oatmeal. If you've got some type of food processor or blender, you can blend that up and you can use that as part of your flour. And so, you know, it can be used in gravies if that's what you're using. You know, if you're using flour, you can add it, use it as a topping. If you like things like cobblers and, you know, fruits and your yogurts or anything like that. And also think of this, when you're making those smoothies, you know, you can toss in a handful of oats to bump up, again, bumping up that nutritional value. And of course, who doesn't love an oatmeal cookie? And oats are another one of those things that you can use to stretch a lot of meals. And if you've got hamburger and you've got a lot of folks to feed and not a lot of hamburger, you can stretch it by adding oats into that. It's almost like rice. I mean, you can use it for so many things to add into your hamburger meat to stretch that out. Making meatballs, you know, you can throw some oats into your ground meat to stretch out your meatballs a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. Think outside the box. Do some of your research and look to see, you know, how are others using this stuff? Because look and see what's in your cabinet. I believe in shopping at home first. See what's in your cabinet, and then if all you've got is a little of this and a little of that, honey, how can you put that little together and make a meal out of it? You know, our grandmas, great-grandmas did it, and there's no reason why we can't either. Now, the number one thing that I enjoy using to stretch meals, should be no surprise to folks, because I'm sure a lot of people do this, and if you don't, I bet probably your mama or grandma did, and that's potatoes. Potatoes can be used in every manner, and I don't know that I've ever met a potato I didn't like. Whether it's just home fried potatoes, whether it's French fries, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, just, you can use potatoes, just a baked potato, you know, stuffed baked potato where you put a lot of different toppings and stuff. Again, that's where, think of potatoes, here's an idea. You know, I think of ideas like this, but mainly because I've used them before. But if you have just a little bit of meat, have just a little bit of vegetables, just a little bit of cheese, and you've got a potato, you've got the makings for a pretty dang good baked potato right there. Just stuff that potato with the little bits of other stuff that you got, and you've got a good meal right there. And you know, those potatoes, you can grate them up and not only make hash browns out of them, but you know, grate them up and extend some of your other recipes with those potatoes. And you know, potatoes can be canned. People don't think that you can can a lot of stuff. Pretty much I can everything. I've got 3 gallons of milk in there in the refrigerator today that I need to get canned up because I know that I've got, I'm getting low back there on the shelf of canned milk, so I'll can that milk up. But potatoes can be canned. And so if you catch a good price on some potatoes, you can get potatoes and you can can it up. And I know some of you have said that canning equipment's expensive. No, it's not right now. It is if you go try to buy it at the store, but you check you out Marketplace on Facebook, or you check you out Craigslist, or you just put a bug in one of your neighbor's ears or something. Back during that that everybody had, everybody decided they wanted to become bakers and canners, and then a lot of people decided, heck, that's a lot of work. And they're getting rid of a lot of that kind of stuff. So you check in all these selling places and you can find you some equipment at, you know, crazy prices. I know I've seen some people posting where they're finding things at some of these thrift stores and resale stores for, you know, finding a canner for 20 bucks. Well, you know, that's pretty dang good price. So, you know, look around out there. But yes, you can can potatoes. And those potatoes, again, you can use them in just about anything. You can use them as a pie filling. You can make potato cakes out of them. And I don't know if you've ever made this before or if you've ever eaten it before, but if you would like to see me show you how one day, put down in the comments that just type in yes, and one of these days I will make you some potato candy. I'll show you how to make potato candy. And this is an old recipe for candy, and it's wonderful, and it uses mashed potatoes and it uses peanut butter. And you know, mashed potatoes and peanut butter, those are 2 wonderful things in life. So if you'd like to see a candy made from mashed potatoes and peanut butter, just type yes down in the comments below. Alright, well, those were my top 10 things that I use here on the homestead to bulk up meals and to stretch meals. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, if you would subscribe, just go down there, click on that bell, and you'll be notified for any upcoming videos. And as always, I'm so glad when you join me, and I love y'all, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.